Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host for the next hour. My name is Dane Sorenson, and you have entered Zero Doubt Zone. This is where we seek truth, we vet facts, and we're going to do it together. Zero Doubt Zone. Check us out on YouTube. ZeroDoubtZone.com. You can also check Zero Doubt Zone Facebook. Like us. Share us. You may not agree with everything we say, but let's work together and figure out, hey, these facts are right. We got them vetted. There's a handful of stuff we're going to go over. Last week was really fun. I scrapped the whole entire show. Got the nod the night or the morning before from Rosie that we were going to be broadcasting live from the Santa Cruz County Fairgrounds, and that was a lot of fun. Rescheduled my my guest, and just shot from the hip. Why not? Just shoot from the hip and make it fun. This is supposed to be fun, right? I'm supposed to be entertaining you at the same time, right? No, I'm sorry. I've made a decision, folks. I've made a decision. I am not here for your entertainment. I know sometimes, with the guests and the banter and this and that, I can't help but express myself in certain ways that some people might find entertaining. But I'm really not here for your entertainment. Here's why. Because there's some very important stuff that we all need to keep talking about. I had some people talk to me earlier, and they were saying, what's the topic for the show this week? And I'm like, well, we're going to touch on vaccines, and I couldn't even get to what else we're going to talk about. And they're like, dude, vaccines again? Every week you're talking about vaccines. Well, it's mandated now for all our school kids to get shot in the arm with vaccines. So yeah, we're going to talk about vaccines. I'm going to talk about vaccines until I'm blue in the face, and here's why. There's a very interesting history about vaccines. I do have a bit of a correction. I had cited some things a while back in regards to the SV40. That's the simian virus 40, right? That was in the polio vaccine. That's, the powers that be realized I think it was about 1960. I had said it had given people, I think it was about 10,000 people cancer. Well, turns out I was wrong about that. Let me find my notes here. Let me see here. Very interesting article. I had actually reposted it on Facebook. And it came in as an SV40 headline on Facebook. Over 98 million Americans given cancer through the polio vaccine. Ooh, everybody has got cancer now. Well, I had talked about that, and my understanding was 10,000. But turns out that there was some stuff that needed to be reworked, and there were some other things that we needed to be talked about. And CDC actually revised it. It said 10 to 30 million people are estimated to have received a polio vaccine with SV40. I'm sorry, not 98, not 10,000, but 10 to 30 million. This was back in 1960, right? And it is known a cancer-causing virus. And I find that very interesting, too, because it says in the article it is known cancer-causing. But then, you go to the thing that the CDC said, and it basically says, well, yes, some science says it is, and then other science says, well, it might be. But so we still got to do studies. Okay. All right. Well, you go to the CDC site. You can actually type this in. It's archived. You can go to our Facebook page and check it out. There's a lot more that we need to dig into on this, but this is what the CDC said. It says cancer, simian virus 40, SV40, and polio vaccine fact sheet. SV40 is a virus found in some species of monkey. Well, if it's in monkey, then why is it in the polio vaccine? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but hey, that was back in the 60s, whatever. There's aborted fetal tissue in there too, but why ask questions, right? Just take the shot right in your arm. Don't even worry about the formaldehyde, the polysorbate 80 or any of that. I know I keep repeating myself, but what's funny is people will argue with me on Facebook and around town, and I'll bring this up and they will shut down. Nope. Okay. I figured something out. All right. Is that people want the magic shot. People want the magic pill. People want the magic elixir. That's going to save them. It's going to keep them from getting sick. It's going to save their soul. Like a Jesus pill, I guess. I don't know. What else can you call it, right? But with that, why wouldn't you ask what's in it? I keep coming back to that. I keep harping on that. And guess what? I'm going to keep harping on it, folks. It is mandatory in the state of California to inject your kids with big pharma elixir. Okay? This is show number 7, you guys. And I've been trying to be cool. I've been trying to be collect. I've been trying to keep myself in check. I don't know if it's being sober for the last 30 days. By the way, I have reached my goal. No processed sugar, no refined sugar. There was a little bit of GMO, I must admit, and no alcohol. So maybe that's why I'm a little heightened. I'm a little on edge. Hopefully I'm not cynical. But there's been a lot on my mind, and a lot of it, I've come back to the point where I can't hold back anymore. The gloves are off. The gloves are off, America. I can't hold back anymore. You know why? Because in my heart, I feel that the time is nigh. In my heart, I feel like this is the 11th hour. The propaganda machine is in full tilt. The warmongers, dish, dish, dish. They're hitting that war drum. I mean, we got the Pope. I mean, maybe we should talk about the Pope. I don't know. Maybe we should talk about Donald Trump. I don't know. Maybe we should talk about Khloe Kardashian or Jenner, Caitlyn or whatever. No. That's just another distraction. Hey, look, I know we gotta decompress. But when that's a lifestyle and all we think about and all we talk about and we're not even questioning what's being shot into our kids. I know I'm getting fired up. I can't help it. But I'm not going to stop. I will not relent and I will not surrender. You're going to inject my kid with stuff that they say the science is certain when there's other science that says it ain't so certain, but it's ignored, right? It's ignored. Why is it ignored? Why is it? I'm still on point. I'm still talking about vaccines. But I've had many conversations over the last 7 weeks, and some that really stuck with me. And Joe from Salinas, I apologize. I got to keep going here for a minute. Thank you for holding. I was talking to a neighbor, and I'm like, what about, big pharma and this and that? It's like, oh, big pharma? No way, man. I don't trust them. I don't trust this, barely trust the CDC. I barely trust the FDA, the big business and big pharma and all that. I'm like, cool, all right. Well, what do you think about vaccines? And she's like, well, what do you mean? What do you think about vaccines? Big pharma makes vaccines, right? Oh, but they're vaccines. So, they're safe and effective. What? No, what? Okay, you don't trust big pharma for the pills and whatever else they give you, but you trust them for the vaccines, and you don't question what's in it. I forget the statistic, 99.99999% of people never even read the insert. I know I keep saying the same thing, but it just doesn't seem to be getting through. Even to family and friends, they're like, very interesting stuff. I don't agree with you on it. Well, on what specifically? On vaccines. You say not to get them. Wait, what? Really? Have you actually listened to the show? Because I never said don't get them. Ever. Believe me, I know. We've been editing all the video. We've been writing the blogs. By the way, you can check it out on ksco.com, but streaming live, by the way. But you can check it out on zerodoubt.zone.com. We have one of our first blogs that rolled up. But we've been editing the video, writing blogs about it. I've never said don't take your vaccines, folks. What I've said is, what's in them? Ask your doctor for the insert, and guess what? He probably won't have it. He'll hand you a pamphlet. I'm beating a dead horse. I had a family friend say, come on, man, still going on vaccines? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, I am. The referendum to halt SB277, the, what's the best term for it? The mandatory, unconstitutional, draconian, Hitlerian law to inject our kids with proven science. It's proven, right? It's closed. No more research. The science is certain. I've beaten the dead horse. I know. Oh, back to the simian virus 40, shall we, from the CDC. It says SV40 has been found in certain types of cancer in humans, but it has not been determined that SV40 causes these cancers. The majority of scientific evidence suggests that SV40 contaminated vaccines did not cause cancer. However, here's the caveat. Some research results are, they're conflicting, that information. Oh, wait, what? But it doesn't. Okay, yeah. Some research is conflicting. So obviously more studies need to be done. But the science is certain. I know that was back in the 60s, folks, but what about all the other lovely stuff that's floating around in there? Check out show number 3. Check out show number 2. Check out show number 4. How about show number 1? We talk about the ingredients, talk about some of the side effects, because guess what? There's mothers, and there's dads, and there's parents, and there's kids. There's video testimony of these people. And it's the same story. I brought my kid in. He was healthy. He was happy. He was progressing just as much as everybody else. And then we went in for the shot. And he was never the same. This isn't one time. This isn't 2 times. This is hundreds of times, if not more. If you're going to make it mandatory in the state of California, Governor Brown and the people of California, it's time you start asking the questions. It's time to start demanding answers from the CDC and the FDA. Because guess what? We're going to talk about Thimerosal. I haven't even brought up Thimerosal, and it's been 6 shows. Do you know why? Because I know it was so controversial. Oh, that was put to bed. Really? Really, was it? It was not put to bed. Sorry. Maybe back in 2002 with the Department of Homeland Security Act was put to bed for Mr. Eli Lilly. Huh. Maybe that was. I don't know what Eli Lilly had to do with the Department of Homeland Security Act of 2002. But after that, they can't get sued for Thimerosal. Huh. That's interesting, isn't it? Let's establish the Department of Homeland Security and sneak a little backdoor in there for Eli Lilly. Oh, we've done some research about Eli Lilly. Mr. Bush, yeah, there's some connections there. I apologize if I'm coming off a little cynical, folks. Like I said, haven't had a drop to drink in over 30 days. Not that I had a problem, but I'm working on a whole different level. And you know what? More and more I do this show, the more I research, the more I start getting pissed off. The more I appreciate the people who are willing to stick their balls out there and talk about this stuff. The more I appreciate people willing to stand up to the status quo, to the propaganda machine, to the war machine. I'm getting pissed, folks. No more Mr. Nice Guy. All right, maybe sometimes. You can't be pissed all the time. I'm not. I've had a lot of really good advice from a lot of people, even some who had never even seen the show. Oh, I find that very entertaining. We're going to talk about trace amounts, folks. Since we're on vaccines, I mean, why get off them? Because pretty soon all your kids got to get shot in the arm with it mandatory, right? And what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Robertson. We see that your child has not been vaccinated. We've got the shots here. No, Mommy. Yes, son. Sorry. It's shot time. You know, after he got the shot, he was just never the same. I've given him a lot and a whole lot of nothing at the same time. Just my little editorial, my little opinion, right? I'm very concerned that the masses are not questioning this stuff. Very concerned. And I know I've said that since the very first show. But why would they have all these ingredients that are known in science, in the scientific community, to be poisonous? Oh, but it's such small amounts. It's just little trace amounts. All right. I'll take your word for it, Big Pharma. Oh, wait, I can't sue you. Oh, I can't sue you for all the lovely vaccines, can I? Thanks to the 1986 Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. Yeah. I don't want to apologize to that caller. I guess I kept going, so you dropped off. I apologize, sir. I want to thank Mr. Tim Donnelly and his statewide coordinator for coming on the show, the fourth show, when they talked about the referendum. My understanding is they collected all the signatures. And, you know, in my opinion, I hope and pray to God that there was enough to halt this so that it goes to ballot next year and the people actually get to vote on it. I have a very interesting quote from Mr. Richard Pan, Democrat, who was a co-author of the lovely SB277 mandatory vaccine bill. And he said, "The people have spoken. The science is certain. The people have spoken." Well, I don't remember voting on it. So in my opinion, Mr. Pan, the people have not spoken. Because until there's a vote, the people haven't spoken yet. All right. I'm not going to keep going. We do have a caller on the line. I will not keep ranting so that we can give Hemi from Marina a chance. You can call 831-479-1080 to be on Zero Doubt Zone. And I'm going to try this new way of actually taking a call because I like it. I like it a lot better. So Hemi from Marina, I want to thank you for calling Zero Doubt Zone. What's on your mind today?
Hello there. Are you feeling a little bit better? I was afraid that you were going to go crazy.
You thought I was going to go crazy?
No, I'm sorry. You are crazy.
I am crazy. Thank you. I appreciate that. In what way? I'm sure many ways. But what, in your opinion, how am I crazy?
Well, you are right in many ways. But if you would allow me to speak, perhaps you might agree with me on something.
Absolutely.
You would just be quiet for a second.
Yeah.
Now, as we know, Mr. Morning, I believe he was the one who is behind the vaccines. Am I correct?
I'm sorry. Who? What was the name?
Bill Morning.
Bill Morning? Are you saying?
Morning. MONNING.
Oh, Bill Monning. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm not sure what you referred to. I'm not sure what you're referring to though. He's behind the vaccines. In what way?
I will speak slowly.
Thank you.
He is the state senator who started this whole thing.
Oh yes.
With the vaccines, but also and more fearfully, he was for the assisted suicide, doctor-assisted suicide. So this man is a two-fisted, no good.
So you don't trust him?
But the man wants us to kill ourselves, and he wants to involve the doctors. Now, if you're going to kill yourself, you do it yourself. You have no right to do it anyway. You are God's creature. But if you are going to do it, you cannot involve the doctors. The doctors are there for healing. They are not there for killing. So you see, this morning, fella, this no good, he is for the vaccine, the mandatory vaccine. Look, I do not know all the ins and outs of that, but I do know one thing for certain. Doctor-assisted suicide is against the law of God and nature.
Wow, Hemi, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Seriously, that's very true. You know, I mean, very true in my opinion. I would have to agree. It's a little bit off subject, but maybe not. Mr. Monning, I'm assuming it was on there. Hemi, thank you for that. I got to keep rolling. I started with a rant, but call back anytime. Good point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I necessarily feel about that right now. I have to put my heart into it and put my soul into it, my spirit into it, and think about it and meditate on it. Thank you for your call. Thank you so much for your call. What shall we get into now? Well, the point of this show was to get into, for this show number 7, was to get into the Thimerosal. And what sparked that was actually something that Heather Hawks said in show 4. That was the statewide coordinator with Tim Donnelly for the referendum to halt the mandatory vaccine bill, SB277. Check out episode 4, show 4 on YouTube. Zero Doubt Zone, by the way. and she brought up trace amounts. So because of that, my wife and I actually sat down and watched it. And my team also did that as well in their own time. And what they found was one of the heads of the team actually said, "Oh, I don't know, man. You know, is this one-sided? Is this anti-vaccine? Is this, you know, what is it?" And I'm like, I don't know, man. I got to see it. I've only seen little clips of it here and there, right? So we watched it. And it is not anti-vaccine. It's one man's story about how he got one shot. Just one little shot. Just right in the arm, just one little shot. It was a tetanus shot. And what happened to him was not funny. It was unfortunate. And the movie Trace Amounts, the documentary goes into his journey, his understanding of what he learned, the science, the scientists that he talked to, the doctors he talked to, neurologists he talked to. And they all agreed on a lot of stuff. They agreed that, he basically got mercury poisoning. Well, how the heck could he get mercury poisoning? Well, if you didn't know, Thimerosal is mercury. And when this happened back in, I think for him it was, 99, 2000, 2001-ish, around that area of time, the people started talking. And the people started getting mad. And the people started saying, hey, why would you put Thimerosal, which contains mercury, in the vaccines? Well, Eli Lilly, developed this back in the 30s. It's totally safe and effective, except it killed a bunch of dogs and people. No big deal. But don't even think about that. Don't look at history. History, not my opinion. History. Look up Eli Lilly and Thimerosal, by the way. You have a laptop? Check it out. The more and more and more I get into this stuff, you guys, the more and more pissed off I get. The more I start to question the reality that is around us, the leaders that we have elected that are supposedly have our best interest at heart, right? It's hard, man. It's hard to stay on point. It's hard to stay true. It really is for me, because it is so overwhelming. It's so challenging for me not to get worked up. And I know I got to stay on point. I have a very short amount of time. I got to get some points across. But look into it. Please do your own research. I know for some of you family and friends, you're listening. Oh, this is cool. He's going off again. Oh, that's all fine and dandy. But I'm asking you, I'm begging you, please pick up your laptop, your smartphone, your tablet, whatever. Put down the Us Weekly. Turn off the TV, unless you're watching YouTube and Zeroed Out Zone, through your PlayStation or something. But look this stuff up, SV40. Look up Eli Lilly and Thimerosal. The history on this stuff is not pretty. It's not pretty. You've been lied to, folks. Not my opinion. You've been lied to about vaccines. You've been lied to about the ingredients. We have a caller, Thomas from Santa Cruz. Thank you for calling 831-479-1080. Thomas, thank you for calling. Welcome to Zero Doubt Zone. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mr. Zero Doubt Zone. What's your name? I forgot.
My name is Dane. How are you?
Dane, I want to thank you for doing what you're doing, because
thank you.
If people understand what's going on and they're not as pissed off as you or more, then there's something wrong, because you are not inappropriate. You are doing the right thing, sir.
Well, thank you. Wow. I appreciate that. I get feedback from both sides saying, man, you're crazy. You're trying to tell people not to get vaccinated. I'm like, I've never said that. I've never said don't get vaccinated.
I'm here to tell God and everybody that's listening to this station that it's the other side who are the whack jobs. They need to pay attention. This is not funny. I just posted on your Facebook page. Go look on the Facebook page if you have the capability. And that's just one of hundreds or thousands. I'm telling you. I also, I'm as pissed off at you or more now. I went to Sacramento when that son of a son of a whatever, pan went to the grand opening of the Natural Foods Co-op, and I cussed that man up and down. And I told him we were coming after him with the referendum. I told him to get the hell out of our state because he's not welcome here.
Amen,
and
brother.
I'm not exaggerating. I did that, and I'll do it again.
Awesome. We need more people like you, and I think the point, the fact is I challenge it with is not getting worked up about it. That's the hard part, man. I talk to people about this, and I get so worked up, and it takes everything I can to hold back and to keep myself calm because it's like. We've been lied to, man. The people don't get it.
We're all being lied to constantly. We're all being lied to for money, and beautiful little babies are dying and being maimed for life from these lies, and it's happening now. That little rascal in Sacramento, Pan, he's doing it now.
Oh, but the polio vaccine saved everybody. Let's not talk about the fact it gave 20,000 people polio and killed a bunch. No big deal.
Right. Yeah, I know. You've looked and I've looked, and you're once again. I'm going to hang up because I get too upset. But you're not inappropriate. It's the other side who are the whack jobs because they're not paying attention.
Thank you, Thomas, man. Thank you for your call. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
You have a good night. Hey, we got another caller. How you doing tonight? Welcome to Zero Doubt Zone. What's on your mind?
Hi, my name's Joe, and I just also wanted to thank you for talking about this very important topic.
Thank you, Joe.
And I just, think a lot of people are miseducated or misinformed, and although I'm not a staunch anti-vaxxer, I just believe in choice.
Oh,
and
what a concept.
Yeah, and I just think it's important that we all maintain the choice to do whatever we want with our bodies, whether it's take medication or not, or take a natural remedy, or eat horrible food, or eat healthy food.
It's your choice.
The choice is what's important. So thanks for taking this on.
Well, Joe, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Hey, can I ask you a question real quick? What do you think about? I mean, I'm not sure if you heard some of our previous shows, but I have mentioned a couple things. Thank you. What do you think about the ingredients in vaccines? I mean, do you think they're safe or what?
No, I don't. And I think especially for someone such as myself who has certain genetic mutations, they can be much more damaging. And unfortunately, a lot of the population doesn't know that. I unfortunately went through some difficult health issues that forced me to have to learn more, which was actually really educational, and that's why I learned a lot more vaccines. I used to be 100% pro-vaccine. I'm a fully vaccinated person as a child, but at the 80s schedule, not today's schedule.
It's a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. I think if we were at the 80s schedule, a lot of people would be much more comfortable, or if we had the choice to even split things up. Say, for example, instead of having the MMR, you could get all those things separately.
Right.
I think what people really want is just the choice to do what's best for them and their children. And so, I don't believe the ingredients are all that great for you, especially the heavy metal adjuvants in there, the aluminum. Terrible. And I think they could look into other safer options, but they don't want to spend their money on that. I don't think.
They just want to mandate it for every person in California.
And that really, though,
make their billions.
I'm sure you're familiar with the Healthy People 2020.
No. What was that?
So it's a government program that I think it was either the FDA or the CDC or both. They have basically a program of what to do to get the nation healthy by the year 2020. And from what I understand, a lot of the push for these vaccine mandates is because of that. They want to have, a certain level of the population, adults and children, vaccinated by that time.
It's like 90% or something like that. I mean, if they had their way, it'd be 100%. But
right, and it's just you can look at it. Anyone can look at it. Just Google "Healthy People 2020." And you can read through the whole, what they're trying to do. Some of it's really good. It's not all bad.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
But, yeah, so I think that's why we're getting a bigger push in recent years. And then more, what do you call it, sensationalism around, someone...
Measles breaks!
Right. So, yeah, like I said, I would, in certain... things, I think vaccines are very important, for certain diseases at certain times in your life, if it's the right time for you. Right. But, chickenpox is usually not deadly.
Yeah. Oh, I had chickenpox. I got a really extremely bad case of it. It sucked for about 3 weeks. I have a couple scars, but hey, I'm alive.
Right, and a lot of people don't realize smallpox, went away without vaccines.
No, that's not true. No.
Oh, it's not? I thought...
I know, I'm totally joking with you.
Okay. Yeah, from what I understand,
Sorry.
we eradicated that just through natural...
hygiene and sanitation and refrigeration and sterilization of medical utensils. But let's not talk about that.
Right, but then also when we don't, make things grow exponentially by vaccinating and just kind of let these things run their course, eventually they kind of weed themselves out, typically of the populace because, we all gain natural immunity.
Right. Oh, natural immunity. What's that?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, Joe.
Which is lifelong rather than
10 years.
Booster.
Then 10 years you have to do the boosters. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And don't worry about the the viral shedding, which I used to call off-gassing. But yeah, don't worry about that either, even though the manufacturers admit that.
Yeah, so thanks again for doing the show. Really appreciate it.
Joe, thank you. I appreciate it. Joe from Scotts Valley, thanks. I want to thank you, the callers, for calling in. I do have to do a little bit of business. I do need sponsors. And, some may agree, some may not. But, hey, it's free speech, right? And if you believe in free speech, this is actually coming out of my pocket. And it's not cheap, folks. You can go to zerodoubt.zone.com and hit the donate button. $5 to $100. Hey, anything helps. I'm not begging for money. I'm just saying it would be great. I would love to continue to do this show and really dig further and deeper into it. And this is only show 7, and I know I got to refine my approach and keep myself calm and collect and, try to get my points across and maybe, get the masses involved more. But it's work in progress. And the site is getting there, and everything is working towards that. So we need sponsors, folks, even if it's $5. I got 5 on it. Forget about it. But we need help. This is not cheap. And I truly feel this is my calling. And whether you agree with me or not, and I might be wrong on stuff. I've already been wrong on certain things, but at least we corrected it, right? I was wrong that 10,000 people got, for the SV40, 10,000 people got cancer. Turns out it might have been a whole lot more. Sorry. Okay. All right. My team is going to be like, dude, you're supposed to stay on point. Here we are, 40 minutes in. I'm like, I'll finally finish my rant. All right, so trace amounts, folks. We're going to talk about Thimerosal. I haven't talked about it yet, but this trace amounts was created, documented by a guy named Eric Gladdens, Gladens. You can just Google trace amounts. And I highly suggest everybody view it. Just check it out. It's not telling you to not get vaccinated. It's talking about his trip through the process of getting a shot with Thimerosal. And by the way, because of stuff like this, the people rose up and they demanded that Thimerosal be taken out of the shots. And guess what? It worked. They did. Well, except for the flu shot that everyone still gets. And they suggest only for the last so many years for that pregnant women get it too. Still's got a bunch of mercury in it. So let's talk about Thimerosal a bit. It's actually an ethyl-mercury. That's a Thimerosal. It's 50 times more toxic than methyl-mercury. There's ethyl, that's bad, and methyl, that's in fish. That's not great, but, it's a lot better than ethyl. So the former, the ethyl, is actually twice as bad as mercury in the brain. It locks twice as fast in the brain. The CDC warns pregnant women to not eat fish containing mercury, but insists, that they get the flu shot. Let's ponder that for just a minute. Don't eat fish, which is methyl mercury, but take the flu shot that's got the Thimerosal in it, that's ethyl mercury, and it's 50 times more toxic. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Perfect sense. Get the flu shot, folks. Oh boy. Well, here's the funny thing. This is all from trace amounts. And this stuff, extremely interesting. They rated it. The scientists rated this stuff, okay? They said there's a relative risk of developing autism from 25 milligrams of Thimerosal. The relative risk is 11.35. There's a rating, right? Let's compare that to lung cancer for smoking cigarettes for 20 years. The possibility of developing lung cancer after smoking for 20 years is a level of 10. What? You smoke for 20 years, there's 10% or whatever the rating is, a 10, you're going to get lung cancer. but a relative risk of developing autism, 25 milligrams of thimerosal, is 11.35. It's actually higher. What? That's science for you, folks. Science. Oh, the science is certain. Yeah, certainly skewed. We've got another caller. We got Rich. Rich from Santa Cruz. Rich, what's on your mind? Welcome to Zero Doubt Zone.
Yes, I was calling in to mention that Bill Gates is very much behind the vaccines.
Oh, hey, is it Rick? This is Rick.
Rich,
I'm sorry. This is the original Rich, right?
Yeah.
Dennis Michael Lynch. Yeah, the Gates Foundation. Oh, man, we haven't even touched that stuff yet.
He likes it because he wants to sterilize people.
Well, he actually admitted that. There's quotes of him, video of him admitting that we need to...
Right on YouTube.
Wow.
And also,
yes.
Ted Turner said in 1995 that, Ted Turner's connected strongly with the United Nations, and he said that he would hope that the population can get down to about 250 to 500 million from what it is.
Oh, that sounds like the Georgia Guidestones. Uh-oh, getting conspiratorial.
Well,
yeah, no, there's it's interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that because there are people. There are people who believe that the majority of us should be eradicated. They're called eugenicists. There's actually, was it Zygmunt Brzezinski who started talking about that kind of stuff? I might be wrong there. It's Zygmunt Brzezinski or Henry Kissinger or both.
Kissinger is another piece of work, but they want the population down to, I guess, to save the planet.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course, because there's just too many people. But let's hoard all the resources and just,
Well, I don't know. Sometimes I agree with them and sometimes I don't, especially when I see them maybe picking me up off the street and doing away with me because, I might be a problem.
Well, you're a free thinker. I mean, we don't want that. We want you to keep watching your TV, Rich. Keep eating the genetically modified food so you get nice and sick, and then you can take all the lovely GMO pills. I'm getting cynical again. Sorry, folks.
Coming from the United Nations, I think I read on the internet that through any means necessary, they have to get rid of the useless eaters.
The useless eaters. Nice. Hey, Rich, it's always good talking with you, man. I got another call coming on. I look forward to talking again, brother. Do you have anything else you want to say?
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Rich, thank you. Thank you for calling Zero Doubt Zone. Terry from Aptos, what's on your mind?
Yeah, it's Colonel Terry, actually.
Oh, Colonel Terry. Sorry.
Handle.
Oh, that's your handle. All right. Colonel Terry, how you doing?
Oh, the Colonel Terry, known to the station.
Oh, the Colonel Terry.
You haven't heard the Great Ben yet.
I have not heard the Great Ben.
If he's listening, Great Ben, we want you to call in.
Oh. I guess we want Great Ben to call in. Terry, what? The Great Colonel Terry, what's on your mind?
You'd agree.
What? Colonel Terry, what's on your mind, boss?
What's on my mind is, I hear you be correct on some of what you say and not entirely accurate or correct in other portions.
Like what?
Well, big, complicated problems.
Oh, yeah.
Have complicated solutions.
Amen, brother.
They don't have easy solutions, kind of like complex mathematics formula.
Absolutely.
The issue of population, vaccines, and where we are as a species is big and complicated.
Absolutely.
When I was at the White House Science Office some years ago, and we had all the data for all the planet and all the country coming in, I sat back one afternoon and I said, the only thing that's going to save this country, this world, and our national civilization will be a series of what Terry calls achievable miracles. And those achievable miracles include recognizing here we are, a species that grew from 5,000, perhaps 200,000 years ago, that recent, to 7 billion worldwide. We dominate the planet. We have, in the opinion of some people,
destroyed it.
Well, we've conquered it, overpopulated it, extracted and polluted it like a cancer, expanding cancer.
You know, the Colonel Terry, and I'd have to agree. I have a question for you, though. What do you think about the ingredients of vaccines?
Obviously terrible. The mercury, they started adding that stuff. The statistics or the evidence is showing.
Yep. Well, in 1980, it was 1 in 10,000. It was that consistent for 60 years. 1 in 10,000, 1 in 10,000, 1 in 10,000, 1 in 10,000. Then they started increasing the consistency of it. They started doing more shots. But there's no correlate. There's no correlate. Was it causation? Doesn't read a correlation.
And then the goddamn drug company.
Whoa.
Use that word.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Not on my show. Let's. Is there a quick rewind?
All right, the damn drug company.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
They've lobbied, corrupted our government, both parties, and even at the presidential level. I worked at the White House, 3 administrations off and on. I know how totally corrupt it is.
Wait, come on. They don't have our best interest at heart? Come on. I'm being facetious. I'm sorry.
Companies have this arrangement where I think it's 50 cents per prescription goes into a fund.
Yes.
That if you've got a complaint such as pretty probable case
it's 75 cents, and they basically set up a vaccine court, and you're basically paying a tax on each shot you get. So the MMR, you're actually paying $2.25 per, and that goes into a little fund which has been paid out by about $3 billion year to date from 1986 to all the people who have there was a handful that actually proved they had autism. But you know.
Yes, and so does the English study statistically. You've seen the film probably, Trace Amounts.
Oh, that's actually what we were talking about right before he called. Yes, Trace Amounts, exactly.
I just turned in the driveway and turned you on.
Oh, nice.
Anyone hasn't seen Trace Amounts out there in your audience, urge them to do so.
And I was, man. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. Yeah, it blew my mind and my wife's mind. It really has basically solidified more and more that we're not asking enough questions. And people aren't asking enough questions and demanding answers because there's a lot of science, folks, that people aren't listening to. Sorry.
And the 3 committees in the California legislature, including Bill Monning's, that pushed through the vaccination bill, proved it, were offered an opportunity to see trace amounts. And the fellow who was the total prostitute for the pharmaceutical companies in the state legislature, a Democrat, a matter of fact.
Richard Pan.
Okay, he met with every member of the legislature.
I bet he did.
And urged them not to insisted they not see trace amounts and accept the invitation. It was running for a week in Sacramento prior to prior to Monty's committee finishing its work.
Wow.
I also was very disappointed that someone didn't succeed in getting trace amounts before Monty and the other hearings, so it could be introduced as evidence.
Wow. That's a great idea. But you know what? I have a feeling is this referendum, the numbers hasn't come in yet, but I'm not sure if you heard, but on my 4th show, I had Tim Donnelly and his statewide coordinator, Heather Hawks, on, and we talked about the referendum, and it's about to close. But I have a feeling there's enough people, and I believe it was over 300 and almost 70,000 people who had to sign this thing. And I have a feeling in my heart, I'm pretty dang sure that it worked. We don't know yet. Couple days, but that's going to put it to the ballot, and that's when the people are actually going to vote on it. And that means we have a year. That means we got a year to break this wide open. I mean, do you agree with me, Terry, or should we just let the government decide what they shoot and inject into our bodies?
I fully agree, and it should be done. And the other factor is the Thimerosal is used to make the vaccine, if you will, last longer on the shelf, as it were.
Oh, of course. And it works great when you mix it with with aluminum. Turns out it makes it even worse. Oh, what a concept. Hey, the Colonel Terry, I have another call coming in. Call anytime, sir. It was a joy talking with you.
Likewise. Keep up the good work. You're very well informed on this, and I appreciate your erudition.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Have a good night. Nick from Royal Oaks, welcome to Zero Doubt Zone. What is on your mind?
Well, topic shouldn't go without the co-writer Mark Stone. He's too squeaky clean in this topic. And then the guy, Governor Jerry Brown, who signed it in the going. Hey, Dane,
yes.
You were talking. I just heard cancer, and then earlier I heard something else. Hey, there's another report. Women are getting cancer like crazy, lung cancer, and they're non-smokers. I'm going to put diesels on it right now. You know, this diesel thing that's coming out where, you know, it's like 6 years and they've been fabricating results with computers.
Okay.
Our vaccines are coming from China. How long before something voodoo comes in on it and we can't detect it for 10 years?
Oh, you mean like SV40, the simian virus 40 that was in the polio vaccine? Oh, you mean like that? Sorry.
Maybe. Polio was on a decline when this vaccine came out.
No, that's not true. Yes, actually, that is true. Because of things like, I don't know, hygiene and sterilization and refrigeration and living conditions changed and working conditions changed. But we can't talk about that because, you know, we want that magic shot, right? Hey,
Yeah,
Nick, thank you for calling, boss. I got to keep rocking and rolling. Please find it in your hearts to support Zero Doubt Zone. Check out zerodoubt.zone.com. Check out our YouTube page. We got a bunch of videos up there. The first 5 shows are up, and we're building it. We're building the site. We're getting the blog going. It's tough having the time to do all this stuff. It's actually caught up with me. For about 3 weeks, the first 3-4 weeks, man, I was running on like 4 hours of sleep every single night, and all of a sudden, boom. Hit me like a ton of bricks. But you know what? When that light goes on air and the red light goes on, dude, something happens. My spirit just goes, woo! Time to rock and roll. You know what? I may not get it all right, folks, but I'm putting it out there and I'm trying. Just asking for your support. Check out zerodoubt.zone.com. I do want to get a couple more things across. We had... It's interesting that the documentary, Trace Amounts, that's actually been talked about already, and some of our callers did too, were cited some specific things. I actually said that symptoms of mercury exposure are literally verbatim of the symptoms of autism. I found that very interesting. But let's not ask those questions, right? Let's just keep taking those shots, folks. I mean, they're mandatory, right? Oh, sweet. That's all right. That's all right. No big deal. So this is other interesting information. Director of CDC, which is Julie, Gerberding, went on to become president of Merck's $5 billion a year vaccination division. Oh, that's convenient. We haven't even talked about Eli Lilly yet, folks, the creators of Thimerosal. Let's talk about Eli Lilly, shall we? This is very interesting information. And this is history. History about Eli Lilly. Well, there is a Bush link. Yeah, George's Bush link. George H.W. Bush, after leaving the Central Intelligence Agency in 1977, I'm pretty sure he was there for JFK, but let's not talk about that yet. George H.W. Bush was made a director of Eli Lilly. Future vice president to Bush, Dan Quayle's father, James Quayle, owned controlling interest of Eli Lilly. Bush actively lobbied both within and without the Reagan administration as vice president in 1981 to permit drug companies to sell obsolete or especially domestically banned substances to third world countries. Really? We're going to have to dig into that. I mean, these statements are pretty gnarly. I mean, almost unbelievable. But hey, while vice president, Bush continued to act on behalf of pharmaceutical companies by personally going to Internal Revenue Service for special tax breaks for certain drug companies, including Eli Lilly, who were, manufacturing in Puerto Rico. Well, let's talk about Bush, young Bush, George W. Well, he had appointees from Eli Lilly. President and CEO of Eli Lilly, Sidney Terrell, was named by U.S. President George Bush as Homeland Security Advisor Council in 2002. Let's just talk about the 2002 Homeland Security Act, shall we? The Homeland Security Act, 2002. Now, what would you think that had to do with? I don't know, establishing Homeland Security. But what went through the back door? It was a little bill. I'm not sure if they call it a bill. It was a little, a little caveat, a little sliver. Had nothing to do with the Department of Homeland Security. It had everything to do with Eli Lilly. Oh, by the way, this is history, folks. History. Oh, the rabbit hole goes deep, doesn't it? So Eli Lilly through the Department of Homeland Security Act of 2002, pushed through by our illustrious President George W. Bush. Get a load of this. You can look it up. It's fine. Keeps the American people from suing Eli Lilly from anything to do with Thimerosal. Wait, what? What the heck does that have to do with the Department of Homeland Security? Things are kind of lining up the same way, aren't they? I don't know. George Sr. was vice president when the 1986 Childhood Vaccine Injury Bill went through, keeping the American people from suing Big Pharma for getting injured by vaccines, and established that lovely court that you pay a tax on every time you get a shot, so you can pay yourself back when your kid gets injured, which happens time and time and time again. But let's not talk about the ingredients. Let's not talk about the side effects. Let's not even read the freaking insert. This is serious business, folks. Serious. And if we're not going to take responsibility, you get what you got. Or you got what you get. I don't know. Zero Doubt Zone. I have my little editorials in there, guys. Didn't stick to point. What else is new? But you know what? I'm paying for this, and I'm hoping you get to support us. And maybe, more support gets in, then maybe I'll have a little more time to hone these rants down for a little bit and really stick to the points. It's hard. This is really hard because I feel like too many people aren't paying attention. And it's time we pay attention, folks. The time is nigh. I don't know how else to say it. The 11th hour is upon us. It just feels that way to me, man. I don't know. Maybe not to you. But check out zerodoughtzone.com. Check us out on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. God bless you all.